What a world, what a world. So I just finished the Jesse Lee Peterson videos, and while I was searching for those videos, I ran into this chick right here. She had something on the title called White Privilege is a Crutch. I found it very interesting, and here we are. I've watched the video, and now I'm going to critique it, so here we are. You guys ready? I'm ready. Let's roll.
So, white privilege. This is a term that I personally find nauseating. I would love nothing more to see it just disappear out of existence entirely. The concept does nothing beneficial for anyone. So, I'm going to break it down to you, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of angry comments from other black folks who are...
Well, I'm happy to report that I am not black. I'm not white either. I'm right in between. I'm just right. I'm joking. But yeah, you got nothing to worry about. Let's continue.
Maybe gonna try to attempt to educate me on racial injustice and how whites have it easier in that regard. But I'd please ask you to first check out my video on critical thinking before typing up.
Nah, that's cool. I don't want to do that. I've already taken a class on critical thinking and logic and let's leave that for the college classroom with my degree. Alright, it's an inside joke. Don't worry about it.
An angry response that YouTube may automatically delete anyway. That algorithm though, it's very interesting. With that being said, let's get into this. So I find that a lot of people who use white privilege to rationalize their life experiences are actually experiences rooted in culture or social class. So
that's an interesting take. I find that social class and culture are deeply rooted in race. What say you?
for example, if a black person goes on an interview and gets passed up on a job over a white person who may have the same qualifications, one might argue, well, that's clearly white privilege.
I mean, no. I would think you need more information than just that. I mean, you can't argue everything. I mean, you could argue it. I mean, but you could argue anything. You would need more information, in my personal opinion.
But if I told you that the black person during the interview was talking like this, I would say,
well, I would say that's kind of racist. But look, let's see how other people talk right quick. Let's see how white people talk, or at least white girls.
I was riding along this morning, minding my own business in my little truck with my windows rolled down, and I stopped at a red light, and a big truck pulled up behind me, an 18-wheeler with two men inside. And as soon as the light turned green, they went to blowing their horn at me about 3 times. Then they flew up beside me and started cussing and screaming and hollering, telling me to pull over.
Okay, you see how they talk? Now, what if I was to tell you that the way they talk is not of a huge problem in the business culture? Well, I mean, I was in the business culture. I still am. I'm just in between jobs right now. I need money. So anybody watching this video right now, stop what you're doing, go down, find my Bitcoin, my PayPal, my Cash App, and give me money. Alright? This COVID, man. I hate this COVID. Anyways, so I don't understand. White people could talk a certain way. It's not a problem in the business culture. But the way you did that, and I'll admit to you right now, that really doesn't have anything to do with race, because not every black person talks like that. But at the same time, it is funny that when you have certain type of white girls who speak a certain way, and they'll get over, and there'll be no problems whatsoever on how they speak. But whatever.
That's more something rooted in culture rather than race. Here's another example. Let's say a white person and a black person committed the same crime, but only the black person got sent to prison. One might say, well, that's obviously white privilege. But if I told you that the white person had a better lawyer, that would be something rooted in economic privilege.
That's only if you make the assumption that the better lawyer was the one who got paid more. And that's not always the case. In fact, but you know what? We're not going to get... We're obviously, this conversation is about race. We're not going to get into who's the better lawyer, but you're saying it's an economical issue, and I would say okay, but here's the thing: most minorities in general tend not to make as much as their white counterpart. And since you made the assumption that paying a lawyer more money means better lawyering, wouldn't you consider that, a discretion?
The usual response that I get is, well, black people make less money on average because they lack opportunities. And I would actually argue that a lot of white people have been very accommodating with entertaining this idea of white privilege and lack of opportunities in this regard.
So basically what you're saying is that when black people say there's no opportunity, you don't believe them. And also, white people should be pissed off because that's a sorry excuse. Did I get that right? Yeah, I totally disagree on that. There is a lack of opportunity in the business world, or just in the hiring nature of it all. Um, you can go look at statistics. You can go look at how you can look at me. There was a couple of companies that I used to work for who, we would have like 50 employees, and 10 of them would be minorities. I can count on my hand alone of how many black people we had. We had 5. And I can count the Latinos. We had 2. And then we had a couple of Asians, and the rest of them were white. Now, I don't want to get into the argument about, well, you have a college degree. Not many minorities, blacks and Latinos, have college degrees. And you would be right if you were to make that argument. You're not making that argument at all. You're just saying how white people should be pissed that black people are complaining. But yeah, I would say in my profession, you would need a college degree, and not many minorities have a degree. But even still, I mean, out of 50 people in an office, 50 people in an office, only 10 of them are minorities? I don't know.
So what opportunities, you may ask? Well, let me give you some examples. So how about white voice actors who step down from their role to allow black voice actors to take that role instead? Mainly when a white person is voicing a character that is illustrated as a black person, despite the literal definition that acting is to pretend to be something that you're not. Here's another.
That's not a very good example. My example was much better. So you have an office, and I do get you, the work I was doing. You had to have a college degree. In fact, I don't want to get into it, but you actually had to have more than just a college degree. You had to have a certain type of I don't want to get into it. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is so you have 50 people, 40 of them are white or white adjacent, but then you have 10 who are minorities. I don't know. The demographics of the population, it shouldn't be that. So, because I come from a city, I come from a state where Latinos are the majority, and I do understand that Latinos only have 6% degrees. I totally get that. Well, I guess it does even out, but still though, there is it shouldn't be this hard. It really shouldn't. I guess I'm just talking on my own, but in general, it seems like most minorities complain about the disparity of lack of opportunity, and you can you can have your opinion. I would say you might be right on that. I don't know. Talking out loud and speaking on it, I can see why the disparity in my office. 6% of Latinos graduate. I don't know how many percentage of black people have college degrees. I would imagine it's probably either, I'm going to say maybe higher than Latinos, because culturally, because you spoke on culture, Latinos have a lower in education.
Another example, incentivize diversity quotas or affirmative action, where more qualified individuals could get passed up on an opportunity to make room for black people, which, if I may give my 2 cents on this topic for just a quick second, if a company needed...
Weren't you just giving your opinion on the whole thing? I mean, this whole video is of your opinion. I mean, you haven't really given any facts whatsoever. No, you haven't shown any type of facts. It's all been opinion based right now. In fact, I've said a few facts. I said about the college 6% Latinos get a college degree. I don't know what it is for black people, but I think those were the only facts that were said in the video. You didn't say any facts. I'm just putting it out there for you.
To be incentivized in order to hire a minority, why would I want to work there anyway? Or,
well, you're going to want to work there because you want a paycheck. I mean, why wouldn't you want to work there? Oh, they're hiring black people because they're black. I mean, don't you want a job? Don't you want to get paid? I mean, look what you're doing right now. You're being a YouTube person. I don't know if you're getting paid off of doing this, but it's like my boy Garth said in a movie one day. People only do things now to get paid. So, I mean, I'm doing this YouTube thing to get paid. I hope that you're doing the same thing. And if there was a company out there who was like, hey, we need more black people, we need more Latinos, sign me up. Sign me up.
what does that say about myself? Does incentivize diversity imply that I'm not smart enough to get the position on my own?
No, not whatsoever. Because look, you don't need, you're gonna need a college degree. Period. They're not gonna hire you whatsoever if you don't have the college degree. So you're gonna have to have that. Well, at least in my profession, I'm not gonna tell you what my old job was because I don't like telling my personal business. But most jobs, either they require a college degree or they don't, or they require another type of certification or license or what have you. They're going to go by that, and that's still the minimum of what they have to do. They're not going to like, oh, well, let's just let this black dude in. He doesn't have a degree, doesn't have his license, but let's just go ahead and put him in. And that's not going to happen. But what is going to happen is they're going to look at their office, and they're going to see that they have 45 white people, 5 minorities, and they may hire that black guy who with a degree, entry level, and they might put him in there for diversity's sake. And that's not a problem. What the problem is that there's an office filled with white people and no minorities. That's the problem.
Honestly very perplexed why so many minorities are infatuated with the brown versus white employment ratio.
Yes, I've already explained it to you. The ratio is bad. Like, again, 50 people in the office, 10 of them are minorities. The rest of them are white. Or white adjacent. I'm joking. But you get what I'm saying. Like, it's a problem, and it should be addressed. And HR, the company I was working for, she was my friend. I would talk to her about it. I'm like, hey, why is it there? She goes, oh, we look for them, but they just don't. They don't have what we need, and what they needed was the college degree. In fact, that was the only thing that they needed. And they just didn't have that. They had an associate's. One of them had an associate's who was working on getting the college degree. But the company wanted everyone to have a certain certification, a certain paper. I'm not going to get, you know what, let's just move on.
Don't get offered a position, the first thing I do is to consider what qualification I was lacking versus the company is just racially biased. Here's another.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's good. Not all companies are biased. And by the way, I'm not saying that the company that I used to work for who had 40 white people and 10 minorities. I'm not saying that they were racist. They, like I said, my friend worked in HR and she constantly looked for diversity and she just couldn't find the minimum required. I guess an argument could be made that that education and minorities need to like step it up, but I don't know, what was the time? Man, I always lose track of these things. Anyways, I don't know. Let's just move on. I don't even care.
Another example that touches just within the creator space. I've been seeing a lot of new or inexperienced Black content creators who use the lack of representation argument to finesse opportunities or free merchandise from companies.
Okay, well, look, we all finesse, right? I mean, I'm a new, inexperienced YouTube creator. Thank you. And by the way, thank you for the welcoming. But, you know, we're all trying to finesse, right? We're all trying to make that almighty dollar. We're all trying to get hookups. I mean, I hope you are, because I am. And hopefully, you know, something's got to give. Either this YouTube creating or I'm back in a corporate office, man. Either or, I could take either or right now.
This annoys me as well as many other Black content creators who work hard to highlight our talent rather than using our skin color as a crutch.
I disagree. I think you're using your skin color right now. You're talking about white privilege as a crutch. Why did you bring up that topic? You're bringing up about race. You could have talked about many other things. And look, I don't know you. This is my first time ever seeing any of your videos. By the way, you look like one of the, I'm not trying to be mean, but you look like a liberal. You look like a libtard. I'm going to say, you look like a libtard. You look like one of those people who always talked about, you know, left-wing ideas. And I think it's very refreshing that now you have this conservative take. But the thing is, you're getting after these people who are finessing about race, but you're doing the same thing. You're talking about it right now. I know that you're doing this because I'm doing a video on you. So I don't know.
Personally, I find the act of working with a creator based on their skin color rather than their talent actually hurts the infrastructure of the industry. Let me explain this. The primary reason a company decides to work with an influencer is because of ROI, or return on investment. If a company chooses
ROI? Did you learn that in finance class?
To work with a Black influencer that has 300 followers versus a white influencer that has 30,000 followers, would that company really be getting a return on investment? I also think this behavior encourages mediocrity, as the creator may not feel it's necessary to improve their craft because to them, these opportunities imply that they made it. I mean, think about it for a second. Why bother fine-tuning your craft if you can just skip all the hard work and complain about white privilege?
You're complaining on the complainers who are complaining about white privilege. I don't know, man. And these skills, these talents you have, I mean, the only talent I see right now is you complaining on the complainers. And I don't know. And back to what you were saying originally about a Black person with 300 and a white person with 300,000. What person would I go on the return of investment? I would say it would depend on what they're hawking. Obviously, if I was selling, I don't know, man. What do people sell these days that makes money? If I was selling cakes and cookies, I definitely wouldn't hire you because you're not in the cookie and cakes business. But if that Black person had 300 people and they did some kind of keto, I mean, keto's big, right? If that 300 person was doing keto, I would probably go with them instead of you because you're complaining about people complaining about white privilege and this person has a keto cooking show. I think I'd go with the 300 rather than the 300,000 of your audience. Not saying that you do have 300,000. I don't know what your audience numbers are. I don't care. But, yeah.
Moving on, I think it's ignorant to suggest that white privilege is the only privilege. There are...
I agree. I totally agree. I think there's tons of privileges out there. I think, one of the main problems that I saw in business, one of the main problems I saw was how attractive you were. Yeah. We were able to talk about that. I'm going to talk about it. They would talk down on you if you weren't pretty enough, or you weren't skinny enough, or you were not old. You were old. Yeah, all those things that matter in the business world. It's a popularity contest in business. You would think in the department that I was in, but they were like that. They were definitely like that. And the videos that I showed you, those girls were pretty. If they did an interview, I would imagine they would get hired.
Varying levels of privilege depending on who you are. What about black privilege? The privilege to call someone racist and not feel an obligation to prove that racism. Or...
Okay. But couldn't any race do that? I mean, I'm a Latino. If someone said something to me, I don't know, like some president went on stage and said that they're bringing crime, they're bringing drugs, they're rapists. I think he said something like that. Go watch my videos. Anyways, I don't feel like I need an obligation to explain to you why that's racist. And I totally get what you're saying. There are some black people who get angry and just call you a racist. I've had that happen to me a couple of times. But I don't need them to explain why they think I'm a racist. I just straight up tell them, I'm not a racist. I don't know who you're talking to. I'm not white. Not to say that white people are not inherently racist themselves. I'm just saying.
The privilege to say all of my problems are because of white supremacy and no one challenge you to elaborate on that claim. I think that's pretty privileged in itself.
Yeah, but I mean, there could be some truth to that madness. Now, I might as well say it. I don't want to say exactly where I live, but let's just say it's the South. I live in the South. Now, in the South, don't get it twisted. There is KKK here. They're here. They're not as strong as they used to be, but they're here. And it could be very well. You could bring up the argument that you didn't get the job because someone is a racist. I mean, that could be very well documented, especially in the South, man. I mean, here they don't even hide it. They still they'll tell you they're racist. They don't really care. That, in fact, they'll look you right in the face and say, "Go home." To me, they'll say that to me because I'm a Latino. They think I'm not from here, even though I was born here. But you know what? I'm going on a tangent. Let's just move on.
For those of you that don't know, I actually co-host a podcast here on YouTube called Subtweet This, and we actually just finished up a great conversation that could tie into this topic. Take a look.
Nah, that's cool. Nah, let's not do that. I want to skip this. I'm gonna skip whatever she's trying to do right here.
I've listened. At the end of the day, if
okay, good. All right, we skipped it. Great.
I were to acknowledge white privilege, I would still be responsible for my own life. It wouldn't change my circumstances, and certainly me acknowledging white privilege wouldn't benefit me in any way. Now,
I totally agree. You're right. There are people out here who like to victimize, but to just to throw everything out, I guess the old saying is, throw the baby out of the water or throw the water out of the baby. I don't know, something like that. My phone, you know what? My phone is ringing. Why don't I let you talk? Oh, it's my boy. We want to talk about white privilege. He knows what white privilege is. Hey, what's up, bro? What are you doing? Hey, tell the people where you're at right now. I don't think they can hear you.
I'm in Keystone, Colorado.
Doing what? What are you doing?
I'm skiing, and right now I'm eating some chicken.
You're eating chicken. All right, don't say chicken right now. That actually, you're making my video go bad. Listen, What are you doing in Colorado? What are you doing in Keystone right now?
I'm Halloween came here to celebrate my birthday and to meet some bad bitches.
So are you on vacation?
Yeah.
That's very good, man. So you're at a skiing resort, right? Did you snowboard?